We all thought we understood The Lion King, a simple story of legacy, loss, and the circle of life. But then the Lion Guard came along and quietly shattered everything. Because if you actually try to place it on a timeline, something happens. Characters appear where they shouldn't. Events contradict the original films. And suddenly the story of Simba and his family stops making sense. This isn't just a plot hole. It's a timeline problem no one at Disney has been able to fully explain. The Lion King is one of the most emotionally resonant animated films of all time. Released in 1994, it introduced us to the royal lineage of Mufasa, Scar, Simba, and eventually Kiara, Simba's daughter in The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. According to the timeline, it flows like this. The Lion King. Simba grows up, defeats Scar, becomes king. The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. Simba now has a daughter, Kiara, who eventually falls in love with Kovu, a lion from Scar's exiled followers. The Lion Guard, Disney's TV series focusing on Simba's second-born Kion, leader of a group defending the Pride Lands. Seems simple, until it isn't. Because when you try to place the Lion Guard between those two movies, or after them, the entire logic collapses. Characters look the same age. Events contradict each other. And in some cases, characters who should have already met act like total strangers. Picture Simba standing next to Kiara and Kion, a perfect royal family moment. But what you don't realize is, this image shouldn't exist. Not in this timeline. Let's be precise. The Lion Guard is explicitly set after the events of The Lion King, but before Simba's Pride. That means Kion is younger than Kiara, and we're supposed to believe the two stories overlap. But there's a major issue. In Simba's Pride, Kiara grows up without Kion. She explores the Pride Lands, meets Kovu, prepares for queenship, and yet the Lion Guard shows her as a cub. At the same time, Kion is building a team, meeting new threats and traveling across the savannah with his friends. So the big question becomes, where was Kion during the entire plot of Simba's Pride? Was he hiding? Away? Ignored? Because what happens next is even more confusing. There's a moment in The Lion Guard, one tiny scene, that directly contradicts the ending of Simba's Pride. And once you see it, there's no unseeing it. So let's return to that moment. The one scene that breaks everything. In The Lion Guard's final season, we finally reach the moment when Kion returns to the Pride Lands, and Kiara is about to become queen. At first glance, it seems like it lines up with the ending of Simba's Pride, until it doesn't. Because in the final scene of Simba's Pride, we see Kiara standing with Kovu, Simba beside her, overlooking the united Pridelanders and outsiders. The circle of life is complete. The Pride has healed. There's no mention of Kion, no Lion Guard, no ceremony of return, nothing. Yet the Lion Guard shows Kion returning at that exact moment, even referencing it directly, with a completely new cast of characters, including the Night Pride, Rani, and a subplot that drastically changes the royal future. It's not a slight inconsistency, it's a direct contradiction. Imagine the final scene of Simba's Pride, the entire Pride gathered beneath Pride Rock. Now imagine the Lion Guard cutting in, showing Kion walking into frame, except he never does, because he wasn't written into that world yet.
Kiara, you're not really queen! I am the queen.
But the problems don't stop there. In The Lion Guard, Kiara and Kion interact frequently as cubs. They argue, support each other, and train together. But in Simba's Pride, Kiara behaves as if she's an only child, with no mention of a brother at all. No, where's Kion? No, my brother would have helped. Nothing. And then there's the case of Zira. In Simba's Pride, Zira is a powerful antagonist, a devoted follower of Scar who raises Kovu to take down Simba. In The Lion Guard, we see Zira and her lionesses again, in a full episode where she directly interacts with the Guard and even battles Kion. Here's the catch. In that Lion Guard episode, she's alive. But in Simba's Pride, she dies. So now we have two timelines clashing, and somehow both are supposed to be canon.
Welcome to the Tree of Life.
Some fans have tried to patch it. They argue that the Lion Guard fits in a missing year during Simba's Pride, after Kiara meets Kovu but before they reunite as adults. But the tone doesn't match, the timelines don't match, and the characters act like they've never met, even though we've watched them meet in the Lion Guard. It's a patch, not a fix. Even Ford Riley, the creator of the Lion Guard, admitted in interviews that they did their best to honor the films, but acknowledged the challenge of retrofitting a new narrative into a beloved canon. But it goes even deeper, because the Lion Guard doesn't just contradict the timeline, it rewrites Simba's legacy. and even hints at a royal future that was never supposed to happen. At its heart, The Lion King was always about legacy. Mufasa passing down his wisdom, Simba rising to take his place, Kiara continuing the line, but the Lion Guard introduces something that completely shifts that royal inheritance. In the final arc of the series, Kion travels beyond the Pride Lands to the Tree of Life, a sacred place in a faraway land, where he heals from his injuries, discovers new powers, and falls in love with Queen Rani. And then, in a twist no one saw coming, he marries her and becomes king of the Tree of Life. That changes everything, because now Simba doesn't have just one heir, he has two. And Kion isn't just a side character, he's a ruling monarch, in a kingdom Disney never introduced in the films. So when Kiara stands on Pride Rock at the end of Simba's Pride, ready to inherit her father's legacy, it's not the full story anymore. Because her brother, he's ruling a whole different world. Picture Kiara and Kovu standing atop Pride Rock. While far beyond the horizon, Kion and Rani oversee an entirely different kingdom, one that none of the original films ever acknowledge. It's not just a subplot, it's a splinter timeline.
Animals of the Tree of Life, friends from near and far, it is my honor to present King Kion!
It gets stranger. In interviews and fan Q&As, showrunner Ford Riley was asked directly, will Kion return to the Pride Lands and rule someday? His answer? No, that's Kiara's path. Kion's destiny lies elsewhere. That means the Lion Guard closes the door on Kion ever taking the throne his father once held. Instead, he becomes king in a different land, breaking the very idea that the royal bloodline must continue in the Pride Lands. It's a beautiful arc, but it's not the one the Lion King promised. It introduces a new kingdom, a new bloodline, and essentially creates a parallel Lion King universe where Simba's second-born becomes a ruler Disney never planned. And yet, none of this is reflected in Simba's pride. Why? Because the Lion Guard was created almost 20 years after Simba's pride, and it had to retrofit a story into a legacy that was already sealed. But here's the strangest part of all. Kion's journey ends not in Pride Rock, not with his family, but with a silent separation. And when you rewatch Simba's Pride, you'll notice something. He's missing from the ending. Not because he wasn't there, but because he was never written in, even though he's supposed to exist. When the Lion Guard ends, Kion stands as king of a distant land, far from the home he was born to protect. He's powerful, respected, at peace, but something's missing, because in the final moments of Simba's Pride, when the Pride gathers, when Kiara takes her place in the circle of life, there's no mention of him. No nod, no look, no memory. He's been erased. This isn't just a production oversight. It's the result of two different stories, told decades apart, trying to coexist in the same timeline. And the truth is, they can't. Kion was written too late, too powerful, too complex, too separate. He can speak to spirits, control the roar of the elders, heal himself through ancient wisdom, lead teams across distant kingdoms. His story is epic, but it's not The Lion King, and Disney knows it. So instead of forcing Kion into a world where he doesn't quite fit, they sent him away, gave him his own kingdom, his own love, his own story. And in doing so, the Lion Guard quietly told us, sometimes legacy isn't about returning home. It's about letting go. The timeline doesn't line up. It probably never will. But maybe that's the point, because Kion's journey shows us something deeper, about identity, belonging, and carving out your own path when the one before you isn't enough. While Kiara inherited the crown, Kion inherited something else, the weight of not belonging, of existing between the lines, of becoming something so powerful, so transformative, that he had to be written out. Picture Kion standing at the edge of the Tree of Life, looking out over lands his father never saw, while back at Pride Rock, a new day begins. Without him, the circle of life didn't break, it just forked. So now it's your turn. Do you think the Lion Guard should be considered canon? Or is it a powerful story that lives on its own, outside the shadow of Pride Rock? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed uncovering the hidden truth behind Disney's tangled timelines, be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel, because the next mystery we uncover might change everything you thought you knew. Until next time.